At 2:22 a.m., the street holds its breath. The porch lights across the asphalt blink in unison, a shiver crawling under paint and vinyl, and the house opposite mine opens like an eye. 3 figures slide down the steps without moving their heads. They don't knock. They don't speak. They kneel before the curb and place a box on the exact seam where the concrete splits. It's always the same: black paper, red wax, a ribbon the color of dried cherries. They bow toward my house number as if it were a god. Tonight, I stood behind the curtain and watched. They've done this 9 nights this month. I know because my doorbell camera timestamps the exact moment the ribbon faces east, and because my insomnia keeps me honest. By day, the house is a cardigan of silence. Shades drawn, lawn immaculate, a wreath that never gathers dust. At night, it changes temperature. The paint looks wetter, the numbers brighter, as if someone rewrote them with a light pen. The gifts are never touched before dawn. No one claims them. By sunrise, the box is gone, the curb is clean, and the sidewalk chalk my niece left has been carefully avoided. I made myself a list the first week. Don't open a box. Don't cross the street after midnight. Don't point a flashlight at their faces. Don't call the police again. The dispatcher put me on hold until 2:25 and came back with a neighborly tone, said it sounded like teens, said I should turn on my porch light and show a presence. I did. The 3 figures bowed deeper, as if thanking me for an altar. The HOA sent an email about respecting community customs, which I reread until the language frayed. Customs don't arrive in red wax and silence. Tonight, I broke my own rule because something small inside the box knocked back. It wasn't loud. It was polite, like fingernails testing a violin case. The figures across the street didn't wait to see what I would do. They rose together and reversed into their doorway without turning their heads, the way footage runs backward when a cameraman regrets it. My hands decided before my mind. I opened my door and stepped into air that had the texture of church. The ribbons not looked sealed, but the wax had a shallow thumbprint, and my house number was pressed inside. When I lifted the box, my doorbell camera went blind and then pretended nothing had happened. The street stayed empty, but behind 2 sets of blinds I heard breaths held too long. The weight surprised me. It was heavier than cardboard and not quite square, edges imperfect under the paper. The wax seal peeled without tearing, as if it expected me. Under the paper, unfinished pine, a child's craft box shaved smooth. On the lid, my name in block letters I hadn't used since 3rd grade. It looked traced. It looked careful. A smell blossomed, copper and orange peel, rain. Inside, under tissue folded like hospital corners, lay 3 things. A Polaroid of me asleep last week, my jaw slack, a smear of drool bright as varnish, a charm threaded on red string, 3 small teeth that weren't mine, a note cut from glossy magazine headlines, letters marching like ransom. Read before you speak, it said, then in smaller type like afterthoughts with knives. Do not say your name between 2:22 and 2:29. Do not turn your back to our door. Do not refuse to place what is owed. Knock back exactly 3 times when you understand. Right now, I didn't understand. I understood enough to want to. The Polaroid date stamp was from Tuesday at 2:24 a.m., the exact minute I'd written an email I never sent. The teeth were milk white, like a small mouth had believed in me. I set the charm on the tissue and called Kim next door. Her phone rang on her kitchen counter. Her porch camera blinked at me in sympathy. Across the street, the house's wreath twitched. The front door opened an inch and stayed there, breathing. I looked at the clock on my stove through the window glass. It laughed 2:26. I pressed my knuckles to the lid and knocked 3 times because understanding was a luxury I couldn't afford. The sound was hollow and soft, like water asking to be adored. My mouth opened on the first vowel, the most dangerous syllable I own. The hand waited, palm up, candle pale. The drawn-out baby laugh threaded through the warm air and tied a knot in my chest. Behind me, the quiet I had left on my porch leaned forward to listen. The clock on the stove held at 2:27 like a hell breath. The door across from me pulsed wider by a hair, enough to offer a suggestion of staircase, shadows pinned in a neat triangle. Say it, the polite voice urged. a kindness cut with hunger. Names are receipts. I pressed my teeth together so hard the bones in my jaw became one note. I swallowed the first letter and spit something else in its place. I owe you silence, I said, each word set down like a plate. I owe you the knock you asked for, and the gift you left, and the time you took. My name is not due. The hand did not close. The porch light flickered twice, as if someone behind the door shook it to see what I was made of. A murmur rose behind the glass, a rustle of agreement or displeasure. I could not tell. The baby laugh stopped. The warm air cooled an inch. Say it, the voice repeated, no kindness now. The syllable you carry is the weight we keep, neighbor. If you say it, we can keep you properly. If you do not, we will keep you improperly. I shaped my mouth around the shape of refusal and felt the urge recoil. You can't win a game you don't play, my sister had told me once, talking about a different debt. I didn't turn. I didn't pander. I asked a different question. Whose laugh is that? A small intake of breath from deeper inside, intimate as a curtain lifting. Ours, said the voice after a beat. Then, softer, yours if you want it back. My tongue tried treason and formed the opening of myself. The hand twitched, ready to catch it. The seam at the curb thrummed, 3 knocks riding the concrete up through my arches like news. Far away, a horn gave a single exhausted note. Somewhere a standing clock clicked its little brass teeth. The world parted like a seed at 2:29. I breathed, and because I was petty, I breathed loudly. The hand shivered, but did not reach again. The voice retreated to the deep. Debt noted, it said, and the door gathered itself and closed with the care of a nurse tidying a room. Windows unpursed. A sigh rolled under shingles and shook dust out of ordinary things. I walked back the way a dream lets you go, careful to keep my eyes on their door the whole time, because the rule had hit bone. On my porch, the box waited exactly where I hadn't left it. The Polaroid on top had changed angles. It showed me at the curb, eyes bright with an answer I had refused to give. Under it, a second note I hadn't seen before lay stuck to the tissue like a tongue. You did not pay in full. Balance due, 1 of 3. 1 of 3 what? Teeth, name, breath. They had taken 1. They'd tried for the second. That left breath, and the way the words sat on the page, made me dizzy. I locked the door. I locked it twice. Inside, night fanned out and pretended it was normal. The box went on the table. The note lay face up like a dare. My phone vibrated too late with an HOA alert about light maintenance between 2 and 2:30 and excessive outdoor activity. In the bathroom, I pressed my knuckle and tasted orange without opening my mouth. A molar ached like whether trying to find the right joint. I didn't sleep. I collected minutes and stacked them until the stack fell. Dawn handled the roofs like delicate instruments. The wreath across the street lost its interest in me. At 9, an email arrived titled Customary Practices, 8 pages of HOA Apocrypha. If you receive a courtesy parcel, please open within accepted hours. If an exchange is initiated, please complete it before sunrise. Failure to comply may result in reciprocal obligations. I closed the PDF when a page labeled reciprocals tried to load and sat there thinking about the word reciprocal until it didn't look like a word. Kim knocked just before 10, 3 taps with a rhythm that belonged to living people. She looked hollowed and shining all at once. Did you see? She asked. And then, don't answer between 22 and 29. My husband did last winter. We don't say his name after dark. I didn't ask where he was. She spared me anyway. Across the street, she said, and smiled like someone adjusting a picture frame that keeps tilting. By noon, the Polaroid had curled. I lifted it and found a strip of red wax beneath, stamped with a number for my electric bill. Account. The letters looked pious, like they wore clean shoes. I decided to leave. I packed the box, put my keys on top, drove to the corner. Under the clean noon sun, the car died beneath a brand new streetlight I would swear hadn't existed yesterday. The dashboard clock stuttered 2:22 and held. I turned the key 3 times. On the third, the engine caught, the clock blinked noon, and my phone announced it had taken 6 photos of my legs on its own. I came home because the street had already decided we were friends. I set the box back on the table and made tea with a hand that trembled from something I didn't admit. The welt on my knuckle faded to a faint punctuation mark and then to absence. I stood and watched the absence and wondered what it had bought. At 2:22, my door breathed with theirs. Paper slid under. Inside it, my name in block letters and 3 tiny teeth.